The Stellar Security Corps hadn't prepared Commander Rylan Vale for this moment. Standing in the gleaming crystal spire of the Etherian embassy, he watched the approaching diplomatic procession with a mixture of awe and apprehension. The Etherians were known throughout the galaxy for their biocrystalline technology and ethereal beauty, but nothing could have prepared him for Princess Nyara's entrance. She moved like liquid starlight, her crystalline exoskeleton catching and refracting the ambient light in mesmerizing patterns. At nearly 7 feet tall, she towered over the human delegation, but there was a grace to her movements that made her presence feel less intimidating than ethereal. Rylan maintained his professional composure, though his enhanced neural implants were working overtime to process the unusual sensory input. As head of security for the human diplomatic mission, he'd studied everything available about Etherian physiology and culture. But the classified briefings hadn't mentioned how their crystalline forms seemed to pulse with inner light, or how their voices carried harmonic undertones that made human speech sound flat and mundane in comparison. Commander Vale, Princess Nyara addressed him directly, her voice creating ripples of light across her crystalline form. Your reputation precedes you. The incident at Nova Centauri demonstrated humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. Rylan fought back a grimace. Of course she'd know about that. Your Highness, I prefer to think of it as demonstrating humanity's adaptability. The Nova Centauri crisis had earned him both a promotion and a formal reprimand. Apparently using a mining excavator to stop a terrorist attack wasn't protocol. The princess's crystalline features shifted in what he'd learned was an expression of amusement. Indeed. Perhaps that adaptability is exactly what we need now. She gestured for him to walk with her, away from the other diplomats. As they moved through the biocrystal corridors, Rylan noticed subtle changes in the architecture around them. The walls seemed to pulse with increased energy, and security barriers shimmered into existence behind them. Something was wrong. Commander, Nyara's voice dropped to a harmonic whisper, what I'm about to tell you cannot leave this conversation. My people are facing an extinction-level threat, and I believe humanity's particular talents may be our only hope. Rylan's combat implants registered her elevated energy signatures, the Etherian equivalent of stress. I'm listening, Your Highness. Our enemies have discovered a way to corrupt our crystalline matrix, our very essence. They're turning my people into weapons against themselves. Her form flickered with distress. Our traditional defenses are useless because they're based on the same crystalline technology that's being corrupted. And you think human technology might offer a solution because it's fundamentally different, Rylan concluded, his tactical mind already analyzing possibilities. Yes, but there's more. Nyara stopped, her crystalline form pulsing with intense light. The corruption isn't random. It's targeting our royal lineage specifically. Someone wants to destroy the very foundation of our society. Before Rylan could respond, his neural implants screamed a warning. The security barriers behind them shattered, and dark crystalline forms emerged from the debris. Their corrupted forms absorbed light rather than reflected it, creating an effect like moving shadows. Rylan's combat training kicked in instantly. He drew his magnetic pulse pistol, a weapon specifically designed to be used around sensitive crystalline technology, and positioned himself between the princess and the attackers. Your Highness, please tell me these aren't your royal guards, he said, already knowing the answer. They were, she replied, her voice harmonizing with grief. Commander Vale, I'm afraid I must add personal protection to your diplomatic duties. The corrupted guards advanced, their forms mutating into crystalline weapons. Rylan's implants calculated multiple scenarios, none of them good. But then, humanity had always excelled at beating impossible odds. Just another day at the office, he muttered, adjusting his weapon's frequency. Your Highness, I hope you're ready to see some of that human adaptability up close. The crystalline walls around them began to darken, corruption spreading like ink through water. As Rylan prepared for battle, he couldn't help but think that this was definitely not covered in the diplomatic briefing. The crystalline corridors of the embassy had become a battlefield. Ryland's magnetic pulse pistol sang as he took down another corrupted guard, their darkened forms shattering into impossible geometries. Princess Nyara moved with unexpected precision beside him, her own crystalline structure emanating waves of disruptive energy that kept the corruption at bay. "The secure chamber is ahead," she harmonized, her voice carrying undertones of strain. "My personal laboratory. We'll be safe there." Ryland's neural implants processed the surrounding architecture's energy signatures. "With respect, Your Highness, I don't think safe is on today's agenda." They reached a seamless crystal wall that rippled at Nyara's approach. The princess pressed her hand against it, sending cascading patterns of light through the structure. The wall dissolved, revealing a vast chamber filled with humming crystalline equipment that Ryland's implants couldn't begin to categorize. "Lock it down," he ordered, scanning the room's perimeter. His combat systems highlighted potential defensive positions and exit routes. "And then you're going to tell me exactly what's going on." The princess sealed the chamber, additional layers of security crystallizing into place. When she turned to face him, her form pulsed with complex patterns that his emotional recognition software tagged as conflict and fear. "The corruption isn't just an attack on our physical form," she began, moving to a central console. "It's targeting our genetic memory matrix, the crystalline structures that store our ancestral knowledge and experiences." Ryland watched her manipulate the alien technology, creating holographic displays that filled the air with cascading data. "You're saying someone's trying to erase your history?" "Worse." Nyara's form dimmed slightly. "They're trying to rewrite it. Our species evolved from silicon-based life forms. Our crystalline bodies don't just house our consciousness, they are our consciousness. By corrupting the matrix, they can literally rewrite who we are." An explosion rocked the chamber, sending vibrations through the crystalline walls. The corruption was spreading, dark tendrils seeping through the seemingly impenetrable barriers. "Your Highness, we're running out of time," Ryland warned, checking his weapon's charge. "Who's behind this?" "The Obsidian Syndicate," she replied, her harmonics sharp with anger. "A faction that believes our evolution was a mistake. They want to return us to our primitive crystalline state, before consciousness, before civilization." "Religious extremists? Scientists?" The princess's form flared with intensity. "They believe our current form is unstable, that consciousness itself is a flaw that will eventually shatter our species. And they're willing to destroy everything we are to prevent that theoretical future." Another explosion, closer this time. The corruption was accelerating, feeding on the embassy's own defensive systems. Ryland's tactical display showed multiple breach points forming. "What's in this lab that's so important?" he asked, noting how Nyara was systematically activating various pieces of equipment. "Hope." She turned to face him fully, her crystalline form synchronizing with the lab's systems. "I've been researching human DNA, specifically, your species' remarkable ability to adapt and evolve without losing your essential nature. I believe your biological programming might hold the key to stabilizing our matrix." Ryland's enhanced mind quickly grasped the implications. "You want to integrate human genetic patterns into your crystalline matrix? Is that even possible?" "Theoretically." Nyara's form pulsed with determination. "But the Syndicate learned of my research. They believe any integration with organic life forms will accelerate our destruction. That's why they're here, not just to corrupt our current forms, but to destroy any possibility of salvation through synthesis." The chamber shuddered as another explosion tore through the embassy. The corruption was inside now, seeping through the floor like liquid darkness. Ryland's combat systems highlighted multiple hostile signatures approaching. "Your research," he said, taking up a defensive position. "Can you transfer it?" Nyara's form flickered with surprise. "Yes, but dash. Do it." He began reconfiguring his weapon's output. Download everything you can't afford to lose. We're about to have company. The princess hesitated for just a moment before her crystalline form merged with the laboratory's systems. Data streams flowed through her like lightning through crystal. The chamber's entrance exploded inward, revealing corrupted forms that barely resembled Etherians anymore. Their once beautiful crystalline bodies had become jagged, asymmetrical nightmares that absorbed light and hope with equal veracity. Rylan fired, his modified pulse rounds shattering the first wave of attackers. But for each one that fell, the corruption seemed to grow stronger, spreading through their remains like a viral geometry. Commander, Nyara's voice carried new harmonics, fear mixed with something else. There's something you should know about my research. The integration theory, it would require a human subject. Someone compatible with both our technologies and our crystalline matrix. Someone with extensive neural modifications and proven adaptability. Rylan didn't take his eyes off the advancing corruption, but he could feel the weight of her words. Someone like me? Yes. The single word carried harmonics of apology, hope, and determination. Your Highness, he said, allowing himself a grim smile, next time, maybe lead with that part of the plan. The laboratory's crystalline walls vibrated with the frequency of battle. Rylan's neural implants processed multiple threat vectors as corrupted Etherians poured through the breach, their twisted forms defying natural geometry. Princess Nyara worked frantically at the central console, her crystalline form pulsing with concentrated energy. The integration process isn't designed for combat conditions, she harmonized, her voice carrying undertones of stress. We need time. Rylan shattered another corrupted attacker with a precisely aimed pulse round. Time isn't exactly abundant, Your Highness. Give me a number. 3 minutes to initialize the quantum resonance chamber. Another 2 for preliminary genetic mapping. Her form flickered as she interfaced with multiple systems simultaneously. After that, I don't know. No one has ever attempted this kind of biosynthetic fusion. Fantastic. Rylan's enhanced reflexes allowed him to dodge a spray of corrupted crystal shards. So we might go through all this just to discover I explode spectacularly? Nyara's form pulsed with what his systems interpreted as wry amusement. Your species' ability to joke in the face of death is remarkable. It's not really joking if it's true, he replied, deploying his last shock grenade. The electromagnetic pulse temporarily disrupted the corruption's advance, buying them precious seconds. Talk to me about this integration. What exactly am I signing up for? The princess's hands danced across crystalline interfaces. The process will use your neural modifications as a bridge between organic and crystalline consciousness. If successful, you'll retain your human essence while gaining abilities similar to ours. You'll become a hybrid, something entirely new. And if it fails? Then we both die, the corruption spreads, and the Obsidian Syndicate rewrites my entire species into mindless crystal formations. She paused, her form emanating complex emotional harmonics. I understand if you wish to withdraw. Rylan checked his weapon's charge, nearly depleted. The corruption was adapting to their defenses, learning from each failed assault. His combat systems calculated their survival chances dropping by the second. Your Highness, Nyara, he said, using her name for the first time, I signed up to protect the diplomatic mission. Pretty sure this counts. Her form brightened momentarily. You continue to surprise me, Commander Vale. Rylan, he corrected, taking down another corrupted form. If we're going to attempt unprecedented species integration, we might as well use first names. The quantum resonance chamber hummed to life, filling the laboratory with shifting patterns of light. Nyara's form synchronized with the energies, creating a display of breathtaking beauty that even his tactical systems paused to admire. The chamber is ready, she announced. But there's something else you should know. The integration, it creates a bond. Our consciousness will be linked during the process. You'll experience my memories, and I'll experience yours. Rylan spared her a glance. You mean you'll see everything? Even the classified missions? Everything. Her harmonics carried uncertainty. Our minds will be completely open to each other. There can be no secrets between us. The corruption breached another section of wall. Dark crystalline forms began growing inward like invasive geometric fungi. Ryland's tactical display highlighted multiple critical failures in the laboratory's defensive systems. Well, he said, backing toward the resonance chamber, that's one way to skip the first date. Nyara's form rippled with unexpected laughter, actual human-style laughter, harmonized through her crystalline structure. Your personnel file failed to mention your humor. That's because I save all my best material for near-death experiences. He reached the chamber's entrance. Ready when you are, princess. She moved to join him, her tall form graceful even in crisis. The next few minutes will be intense. The pain dash will be temporary, he finished. The alternative is permanent. Let's do this. The chamber sealed around them as the corruption breached the final defensive line. Nyara's form merged with the chamber's systems, her consciousness expanding to encompass the space. Rylan felt his neural implants responding to new frequencies, creating impossible connections between organic and crystalline technology. As their minds began to merge, he caught glimpses of her memories, the weight of royal responsibility, the loneliness of being different even among her own kind, the desperate race to save her people. She, in turn, experienced his past, the battles, the losses, the moments of triumph and tragedy that had shaped him. The pain was extraordinary, but so was the connection forming between them. Human determination met Etherian grace, creating something unprecedented in either of their species' histories. As their consciousness intertwined, Rylan understood with perfect clarity why the Obsidian Syndicate feared this possibility so much. They weren't just saving the Etherian species. They were evolving it. Through their shared awareness, they watched the corruption tear through the laboratory. But now, for the first time, they could see the patterns within the chaos. Understanding bloomed between them like a flower made of light and crystal, each petal a new possibility. Ready? Nyara's voice resonated through his mind, carrying harmonics of hope and fear and something deeper. Together, Rylan replied, his consciousness synchronizing with hers as the transformation began in earnest. The chamber filled with blinding light as human and Etherian destinies fused into something entirely new, and entirely unprecedented. The transformation left Rylan changed in ways that defied conventional understanding. His body retained its human form, but now crystal formations traced elegant patterns beneath his skin, pulsing with internal light. Through his enhanced awareness, he could sense the crystalline architecture around him, feel the corruption's discord like a cancer in the symphony of Etherian technology. Nyara's consciousness remained linked to his, their shared awareness creating a bond deeper than either species had thought possible. Together, they emerged from the quantum resonance chamber to face the corrupted forces that had breached the laboratory. This is remarkable, Rylan said, watching crystal formations respond to his thoughts. His neural implants had evolved, integrating with the crystalline structures to create new capabilities. I can feel everything. We are connected to the very essence of our technology, Nyara responded, her form resonating with his new crystalline patterns. But we must hurry. The Syndicate will have sensed the integration's success. The corrupted Etherians attacked with renewed fury, but now Rylan could see the patterns in their chaos. His human tactical training merged with Etherian crystalline awareness, allowing him to predict and counter their movements. Where his pulse pistol had once merely shattered the corrupted forms, now his shots carried crystalline harmonics that purified what they struck. The corruption isn't just physical, he realized, accessing knowledge from their shared consciousness. It's a programmed virus, rewriting your people's core patterns. Yes, Nyara confirmed, her own abilities amplified by their connection. And now you understand why the Syndicate considers our integration an abomination. Human adaptability combined with our crystalline technology makes us a threat to their perfect vision of purity. Ryland's enhanced senses detected more hostiles approaching. We need to reach the central spire. From there, we can broadcast a purification signal through the entire embassy's crystal matrix. They fought their way through corrupted corridors, moving in perfect synchronization. Their shared consciousness allowed them to coordinate without words, human intuition blending seamlessly with Etherian precision. But with each victory, Ryland felt the weight of responsibility growing heavier. Through their link, Nyara sensed his concern. You're worried about the political implications. The Syndicate isn't wrong about one thing, he replied, purifying another wave of attackers. This changes everything. Human Etherian integration, some people on both sides will see it as a threat to their way of life. Perhaps that is exactly what both our species need. Nyara's form pulsed with determination. Change is not corruption, Rylan. Evolution is not destruction. They reached the central spire's base, but found their path blocked by a figure Rylan recognized from Nyara's memories, High Architect Vex, once the princess's mentor, now the Syndicate's leader. His crystalline form had been voluntarily corrupted, turning him into a being of impossible angles and void-black surfaces. My dear princess, Vex's voice created discordant harmonics that set Ryland's new senses on edge. I had hoped you would see reason, but instead you commit this abomination. The only abomination here is your fear of change, Nyara responded, her form bright with defiance. You would rather destroy our people than allow them to evolve. Evolution? Vex laughed, the sound like breaking crystal. You've tainted our pure form with primitive organic patterns. You've corrupted our very essence with human chaos. Ryland stepped forward, crystal formations beneath his skin pulsing with energy. Funny thing about human chaos, Architect. It has a way of creating new possibilities. Through their shared consciousness, he and Nyara began generating counter-harmonics, their combined human and Etherian nature creating frequencies that had never existed before. The corrupt crystal around them responded, resonating with their new patterns. Vex's form distorted with rage. You cannot possibly understand the forces you're playing with. Our crystalline nature requires perfect order. No, Ryland corrected, as he and Nyara moved in sync. It requires perfect balance. Something neither of our species had alone, but together. Their combined consciousness reached out through the crystal matrix, their hybrid nature allowing them to touch both the organic and crystalline aspects of reality. The corruption in the walls began to shift, responding to their harmonics. Vex launched himself forward, his corrupted form a weapon of impossible geometry. But facing him were two beings moving as one, human adaptability and Etherian precision working in perfect harmony. The battle for the future of both their species had begun. The central spire erupted in a battle of crystalline harmonics and impossible geometries. Vex's corrupted form lashed out with tendrils of void-black crystal, each strike carrying enough force to shatter traditional Etherian architecture. But Rylan and Nyara moved as one being, their hybrid nature allowing them to flow between his attacks like water through crystal. Your combined consciousness cannot last, Vex snarled, his form distorting with rage. The human mind was never meant to contain our crystalline awareness. You will fracture, shatter, destroy yourselves. But through their shared consciousness, Rylan and Nyara knew better. Their connection wasn't just surviving, it was growing stronger. Human adaptability allowed Ryland's mind to expand in ways the Etherians had never imagined possible, while Nyara's crystalline precision helped contain and direct their combined power. You're wrong about human nature, Nyara projected, her harmonics amplified by Ryland's presence. Their chaos isn't a weakness, it's their greatest strength. They don't break under pressure, they evolve. Together, they began generating new harmonics, frequencies that had never existed before. The corrupted crystal responded, resonating with their hybrid patterns. Through their shared awareness, they could see the mathematical beauty of it, human improvisation creating new solutions within Etherean precision. Vex attacked with increasing desperation, his corruption trying to overwhelm their defenses. You'll destroy everything we are. Our purity, our perfect order. Order without growth is stagnation, Rylan responded, his voice carrying crystalline harmonics. And perfection without adaptation is extinction. Their consciousness expanded through the spire's crystal matrix, human and Etherean awareness working in perfect synchronization. They could feel every corrupted section, every twisted geometry, and now they could see how to heal it. It's not about purifying the corruption, Nyara realized through their shared understanding. It's about transforming it. Evolution, not elimination, Rylan agreed, their thoughts moving as one. They began generating new patterns, using their hybrid nature to create harmonics that didn't just fight the corruption, they reformed it. The dark crystal responded, its chaotic mathematics finding new equilibrium in their combined frequencies. Vex's form began to fluctuate as the changes reached him. What are you doing to me? Showing you a third path, they answered together. Neither pure crystal nor pure chaos, but something new. Something stronger. The transformation spread through the embassy's entire crystal matrix. Corrupted forms didn't shatter, they evolved, finding new stability in the hybrid harmonics. The void-black surfaces began to pulse with internal light, chaos and order finding unprecedented balance. Vex fell to his knees, his form shifting between corruption and clarity. I can feel everything. The patterns, the possibilities. His voice carried new harmonics of wonder and fear. What have you done? We've given our people a choice, Nyara said, her form resonating with Rylan's crystalline patterns. A future that doesn't require perfection or purity, but accepts change as part of our nature. Through their connected consciousness, Rylan and Nyara felt the changes rippling outward, touching every crystal structure in the embassy. The Etherean architecture itself was evolving, becoming something that could contain both order and chaos, both stability and growth. The Syndicate believed that consciousness was a flaw in our crystalline nature, Nyara projected to all who could hear. But consciousness isn't a flaw, it's the ultimate expression of evolution. And now we can evolve together. In the aftermath, as transformed Etherians emerged from their corrupted states, Rylan and Nyara maintained their connection. Their hybrid consciousness had become something neither of them wanted to lose, a bridge between species that promised new possibilities for both. The diplomatic corps isn't going to know how to file this report, Rylan mused, watching crystal formations pulse beneath his skin in harmony with Nyara's patterns. Her form brightened with amusement. Perhaps we should simply tell them that humanity and the Etherians have reached an unprecedented level of cultural exchange. Is that what we're calling it? His new crystalline senses tingled with shared humor. What would you call it? Through their link, he let her feel everything, his wonder at their connection, his appreciation of her courage, his hope for their shared future. Her crystalline form responded with harmonics that needed no translation. They had created something entirely new, not just in their hybrid form, but in the possibility of true understanding between species. The corruption had sought to enforce purity, but instead had catalyzed an evolution that neither humanity nor the Etherians could have achieved alone. As the transformed embassy gleamed with new light, Rylan and Nyara stood together, their shared consciousness resonating with the promise of tomorrow. They had proven that the greatest strength comes not from maintaining borders between differences, but from finding ways to bridge them. The dawn of a new age sparkled through crystal and stardust, and two beings who had become one smiled at the infinite possibilities ahead.